Hey everyone, good morning. Is everyone able to hear me clearly? I'm doing a sound check. Is everyone able to hear me clearly? I'm heading over to the other YouTube channel to give everyone heads up too. Testing, is everyone able to hear me and see the video clearly? Hey Tariq, thanks. I was wondering whether you could hear me for a while. Right. Cool. All right, cool. Let me just say close off the other side. Everyone should more or less know it's over here. And let's begin today's session. All right, let's begin today's session. I'm going to do the start from the play from the start. All right, guys. Welcome to today's session. Oh, there's no way for me to. Okay, welcome to today's session, guys. Our usual pre-market analysis. Last week I wasn't around. I was having a pretty bad flu, right? And so really lost my voice last week. But today I'm back in action, right? So we had a fun time. Last week, Keaton should have given you the levels which I shared with him. Like he ran through with me like what are my key views, key technical views for the week, right? So we he should have provided you the same things, but we'll run through it today, right? I think a lot of our calls went very well, especially the drop we were expecting on euro dollar, the bounce that we were expecting on a dollar index, drops on Aussie dollar and Kiwi dollar, they're all on point. Right, so it'll be another exciting week where it'll be another exciting week where we're going to look at the markets. We're going to see what are the key trading opportunities. Right, I was really glad with last week. Right, a lot of really nice setups that worked out nicely. Right, so once again, remember in this session, if you have requests, please send them through nice and early. I'll do my best to get to them. Otherwise, just let me check stream settings. Yep, ultra low latency. Everything looks stream health. Okay, everything is good. All right. I specifically bought a new computer, right, just so that we won't get the same lag problem previously. But if you do notice anything, let me know. Okay, because I installed a whole bunch of stuff. Not sure which one's going to cause a lag, if any. Okay. Now let's begin today's session, guys. Remember, disclaimer: everything in this webinar is educational in nature. Nothing should be construed as investment or trading advice. So please do your own due diligence before you guys trade. Okay, and as usual, the agenda, we start off by looking at some of the key news events to look out for the week. All right. I will just really just highlight them, what a few ones to look out for, and my opinion on them. Okay. Then I'll look at some of the analysis on the majors, technical analysis on the majors, And if you have requests on any instruments you want me to look at, feel free to send it through right away. Okay, don't wait until the end, because usually towards the end, the we hardly ever have time to cover everything, right? We have a lot of requests that come through, so I might not be able to attend to all of them. So if you want, please send them in nice and early, right? Jonas, nice to see you. Paul, nice to see you here again, right? And we got Benea, right? Nice to see you too. Thanks for tuning in. Is it your first time here? Yeah, is it your first time here? I see some people's names for the first time. Yeah. Goal, all right. Definitely take a look on goal. I think we got the call very nicely last week for it to drop. We'll see what we are going to expect this week. Okay, introducing your host for today's. Those of you guys who are here for the first time and wondering who is this guy, all right. My name is Desmond Leong. I run the award-winning research firm Everest Fortune Group and also the Forex Army, right? Let me see if I can pick the highlighter here. Yeah, and also the Forex Army, right? We're finalists of 2019, 2020, and 2021 for best FX and best equity research. Usually work with many of the major financial institutions and helping them forecast where the markets are heading, but we have a special partnership with IC Markets where I bring you guys the good stuff, the juicy stuff, the stuff that take a trading to the next level. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me here on Comfy Desmond. And you want to find some of the trading tools I created, you can find it on theforexarmy.com. All right, good stuff, man. Oh, it's third time. All right, cool. Hope to see you for many more times to come. Luswata, all right, Euro dollar. We're definitely going to cover Euro dollar. Okay. So we're gonna touch on a couple of key news events this week. What I expect this week. All right. The first key one I feel like is on the Wednesday, 20th of August. Right. You guys previously requested that I kind of put it into a quick summary for you guys to go through. Right. And so this is it. Right, there'll be a barrage of flash PMI data from the Eurozone as well as the US release on this date. So take note of it, right? So definitely the Euro will be affected, the US will be affected, right? Manufacturing activity, has been contracting for many months now. So it's likely to remain the same, likely to remain the same, while the services sector continue to pull up, overall growth, So it's a slower rate compared to the first half of 2023. Next key thing, Thursday, right? Thursday, we got the US unemployment claims printed slightly lower than last week's estimate. So lower figures usually act as a bullish catalyst for DXY. So this is the first key, like fundamental thing that we need to take note of, right? Might see a bit of bullishness on DXY in midweek or towards the end of the week, right? Kind of a mix. This particular data set has been mixed over the past 6 weeks, but it's likely to drive direction for the DXY towards the end of the week. So some of the key things to take note of. Fundamentally, we might see a strength in DXY. We'll see how that ties in with the from technical analysis perspective later. Okay. Then towards Thursday to Saturday, right? There's a Jackson Hole Symposium, right? Starting on Thursday is 3 days conference in US, right? Just a whole bunch of finance ministers, central banks coming together, discuss important stuff, right? So just take note. What I want to take note about here is that throughout the day, they will share their views on topics, such as inflation, right? Such as inflation and monetary policy. How does this affect us, right? Because it concludes on a Saturday, there's a potential for weekend news risk. That means if you're holding positions over the weekend, right, it can be quite risky because it can kind of jolt the markets. It can gap the markets. You can see a gap when it reopens on next week Monday. All right, so that is one key. That's one key thing to take note of, right? Is that if you do hold any positions over the weekend, right, you might see there's a lot of a weekend gap, weekend news risk, meaning that we might see a gap in the markets next week on Monday. So yeah, you got to be careful if you take some positions because that can really throw your risk management out of the window. All right, Fabio, nice to see you tune in. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, and now I will move on to my technical analysis. Okay, so I'm gonna come into here, right? And oh yeah, I just need to share with you one thing, guys. Under IC markets, go to webinar, all right? You should see a whole bunch of you should see a whole bunch of webinars over here, right? So you want to sign up for this, right? We got a live trading session later today, right? For those of you guys who keep wondering, like, how do I get access to the live trading session? It's over here, right? And then no, so this is the Taiwan that Peggy is doing. Ketan is going to cover more fundamental perspective one later today in about 12 hours or 15 hours from now, right? And then tomorrow, Ketan will be covering on how we can prepare yourself to trade the non-farm payroll. So this is the link that you want to come to. So some of you guys are asking like, how do I know what upcoming webinars? Please head over to here and you will be able to find it, all right? Now let's begin today's session. Okay, Bitcoin, right? So nice and early we're starting on crypto. We are forecasting for a drop on Bitcoin once it breaks the first support, once it breaks this, the ascending support, and it has dropped very nicely, right? Dropped very nicely and even broke the second support. All right, so I usually like to take a look at Bitcoin as one of the key crypto markets to look at. So I remove everything, right? Remove everything over here. And I will highlight to you that there's a very key support level that is now approaching, which is over here, right? This key support level over here. Okay, why is it a key support level, right? So over time, you guys notice that the way that I draw technical analysis, right? I look for this kind of key overlap levels, right? A very nice bounce over here, a very nice reaction over here, right? A very nice reaction, a very nice bounce, as you can see, right? So price is now approaching this level and is more or less what we call overlap support, right? So price is approaching quite nice overlap support, and hence you should be able to see a nice little bounce from here. Okay, so this is all things being equal, where the bounce might occur. Okay, you could draw a Fibonacci projection too, and you notice that the distance from here to here is gonna be pretty close, right? 100% is right about over here, right? So the distance, right, from here to here, projected from here to here is about the same 100% projection down here. So you got a 100% projection, right? You got a very nice overlap support, as you can see over here, right? So a few nice levels lining up over here. I don't think it goes much further back. Um, Guys, I want to just check with you. They say YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, right? Are you guys able? Is the stream clear from you guys? And is the audio clear for you guys? Um, hey, Amra, nice to see you tuning from Italy. A good overlap area could this break down? Fabio, I would say that we could be seeing a bounce from here, right? All clear for you guys? Okay, cool. So I just assume that YouTube is um giving a yeah, okay. So that could have been one of the key things that caused the drop, but it is now definitely approaching a key support level over here. Okay, very key support level, very key overlap that we're looking. I think in terms of Ichimoku, nope, nothing much to look at, right? So we should be actually be able to see a bounce from here. If you're seeing a bounce, I personally would not be thinking to play it too far up. That means I won't even bother to play the bounce all the way up to here. I'm just gonna play it to here. This is the first key resistance to look at, right? So we should ideally be seeing a bounce from here to here, right? And with this as our main first support level, right? As this as the main first support level. Potential stop loss distance, right? Potential stop loss distance, I would consider the 127. A little bit far, So depending on your risk tolerance, you can either put it here, but if you're like me and you believe that it's going to bounce, right? You kind of usually you put your stop loss like just somewhere here, just to give it a little bit of breathing space for this bounce to occur, because this is a nice overlap support, 100% projection, right? And this is some context, right? Signal Mark, nice to see you, right? This is some context, right? Is that if we are expecting a bounce, right? I'm going to zoom out over here for you guys, right? Notice that this part's a little bit big. Yeah, I'm just going to put it here. I don't really need to see the last price, not that much. Okay, so if we are really expecting a bounce from here, right? So you look at the overlap, it happens very nicely, right? Price is bouncing off this level, price is then reaching this level again. You don't need, assuming the second support is your stop loss, right? As if you assume the second support is your stop loss and price is coming all the way down to here right now, there's what your the hypothesis that you're testing is that price will touch this level and will bounce up. Okay, you don't need price to go all the way down here to tell you that you're wrong, right? So some people might even put their second support all the way here. That means they put their stop loss very far. Okay, now the problem with this is that put your stop loss so far, right? You need price to come all the way down to here to actually tell you that you're wrong. And you think that, yeah, what is the difference? How does this affect my trading strategy? All right. And I'll be sharing with you how this actually affects your trading strategy. Hey, Kelvin, nice to see you tuned in nice and early this time. Okay. Right. And that is, right, I'm just going to show you here with this thing called Trading View has this, if this is my take profit and this is my stop loss, okay, you notice my risk to reward is 0.52, as you can see over here, right? 0.52 here. So the problem is that the market actually rewards you and punishes you based on how confident you are on your stop loss. Okay, so if you put your stop loss so far away, you notice that your risk to reward is 0.52, right? But if you move your stop loss closer to here, right, then your stop loss, your risk to reward is 1.1. That means that for every $1 you risk, you get $1 return, right? Then of course, if you are super confident of this bounce and you can tighten your stop loss, maybe you can tighten your stop loss to maybe about over here, you notice that your risk to reward is now sorry, just may move it up a bit. 1.2. No, 1 is to 2. That means you risk $1, you get $2 in return. And if you're super confident, you tighten your stop loss even more to here, you notice it becomes 1 is to 4, right? The tighter the market increases your risk to reward exponentially, almost exponentially, right? As you tighten your stop loss, okay? So that's a key thing to take note of. From here, you think about it, from here, your stop loss from here to here, right? Your risk reward is 1 is to 2. If you move your stop loss all the way down to here, all the way down to here, right? Then your risk reward is 1 is to 1. All right. So you notice how the market actually rewards you based on how confident you are on the bounce that you're expecting, right? On your trade. So don't just put a random stop loss distance far away just so that you can feel the comfort of a wider stop loss, because the market is making you pay for it in terms of your risk to reward. This is trading view that we're using. Okay, this is trading view that we're using. We're expecting a bounce on Bitcoin. Last week we also forecasting for a drop from first support to second support. Price has dropped down to there for Ethereum quite nicely. Okay, so we reach our profit target for Ethereum. What do we expect this round? I would say Ethereum is pretty much on support, similar to what Bitcoin is experiencing, right? You notice that very nice reversals over here, very nice, price action over here, very nice bounce over here, right? A pretty decent bounce over here, and very nice price action over here. So, what we're likely going to see is we're going to see price make a bounce from here, but we're not going to be too ambitious to play it all the way up to here, right? Personally, I think playing the bounce up to here would be just about enough, right? This would be our first resistance, seeing the bounce from here, sorry, Seeing the bounce from here all the way up to here, it should be good enough for the week, right? For next 7 days at least, right? Seeing a nice little bounce up to the first resistance over here. In terms of stop loss, right? You don't need to play it too far. You can just put it here below the recent swing low, as a potential stop loss level, right? This should be enough for you to take a nice little trade, good enough risk reward of probably about 1 is to 1.5, 1 is to 2. Okay. Hey Samuel, nice to see you tune in. Okay, now let's move on to DXY. So DXY, we were forecasting last week for price to reach our first resistance after breaking out, right? It has reached our first resistance very nicely. So if you got in on that, congratulations, you have made good money. Okay, you have made good money. But what do we expect today? What do we expect today? Okay, I am a little bit wary. It's important that we get DXY correct because that forms the view of a lot of what we're going to look at for the week. But I'll be showing you how you can use a bit of correlation to see um, whether you got the levels correct. Okay, first resistance here, second resistance here. Yeah, this will probably be our first resistance. Right, this will probably be the second resistance, but I do need to see the correlation across all the other instruments later. All right, so we got a 1 to 7%. That probably lines up just about over here. Well, this is tricky. This is quite tricky. We could see a nice reversal. Off the top of my head, I would suspect that we could see a reversal down to here. What I'm wondering is whether price will actually reach the first resistance instead. That is the one thing which I'm thinking about. Whether we like I really like this level over here. I really like this second resistance level. It's a lot cleaner if you ask me. Just wondering whether price will come up to this level instead. Give me a second. Okay, so what we do when we are wondering, right? So for you guys to get a glimpse into how I analyze the charts, right? So what we do when we are kind of like wondering whether price will reverse from here is we then move on to the other instruments first, right? That move in correlation with it. What I mean by move in correlation, look at euro dollar. Sorry, not new pane. I New price scale. Nope, not new price scale. Same percentage. Oh God, sorry. Euro dollar, same percentage scale, right? So this is euro dollar, right? You notice that I superimpose it on the chart, right? And sorry, I superimpose it on the chart, and you notice how it tends to move in opposite directions as DXY. So one goes up, the other goes down. One goes down, the other goes up. So in that case, what this means is that euro dollar is strongly negatively correlated to DXY. Last week, we forecasted a drop on euro dollar, all right? So it worked out quite nicely. It's dropping. And now what we want to do is to decide, okay, what might happen to euro dollar now? Okay. So that will give us a good gauge on whether we should be playing a bounce or a drop on euro dollar. On one level here, you got a pretty good, nice support level that cuts all the way through. over here. It's a little bit hard to see, but this bounce is very clear. This bounce, this reaction is very clear. The levels around here are pretty clear. This part is a little bit messy, but this is a pretty good first support level, which I'm going to highlight over here, right? So this is a pretty good first support level, right? This little trend line that we're seeing, could be, we could be seeing a nice little bounce from there, okay? And if that's the case, right, this would be the second support. Technically, you could put your second support over here, but I would put this level as a second support. And if a bounce were to happen, if a bounce were to happen, technically it can come all the way to here, but that's a little bit far, right? So we probably can just play the level, play it back up to here, right? I think it should be enough already. Not the nicest of levels, right? Not the nicest of levels, a little bit messy for my liking, but we could play it up to the first resistance over here, playing a nice little bounce, right? Mando, I was, thanks for asking, right? I was sick last week, right? I brought my entire family to the zoo, right? I brought my entire family to the zoo. I think the weather was way too hot, right? So came back. My kid was sick. My wife was okay, right? I was sick, right? And it was just sick for the entire week, right? So Kate actually helped me cover. So fully recovered, right? So able to take you guys through today's webinar. Okay. All right. So yeah, this will be the bounce we're expecting on euro dollar. That means that we could be really seeing a drop on DXY over here. Okay, we could be really expecting a drop in DXY. Pound dollar, we're waiting for downside confirmation. Okay. Yeah, I'm a lot better now. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm a lot better now. Right. So pound dollar, right? We're waiting for downside confirmation, and this worked out so nicely, right? This worked out so nicely. If you think about it, right, a lot of people have their uh, sometimes question technical analysis, right? And everyone's saying that if euro dollar is dropping last and dollar index is no dollar index is dropping, no, last week dollar index would be rising, euro dollar and pound dollar would be dropping. A lot of people are saying that why wasn't I calling the same move on pound dollar, right? Why use this word over here that is called a downside conf? Downside conf means downside confirmation, meaning that price needs to break this level to trigger a downside move, right? I think the one big difference was that like in GBP, right, they actually pound actually performed pretty well, right? Compared to all the other instruments, especially euro, right? And that's why pound dollar did not break this level, and the technicals were showing that, right? So we were smart enough to avoid playing the drop based on technicals. And actually, what was nice is that throughout the week, the fundamentals actually played out according to how we forecasted it on the technicals, right? So that's the beautiful thing. If you do technical analysis correctly, what you realize is that the fundamentals tend to make sense, right? No one would have guessed how well cable would have done, right? In the week compared to all the other instruments, especially against the USD, right? But you can see we forecasted last week that it must close below this level to drop to the support. It did not do that, right? So it actually worked out quite nicely. All right. I would be along the same view over here that we still need to wait for a break below below this downside confirmation to trigger the move down to first support. Okay. Same thing because we are. Let me just see it. Just give me a second. Maybe we could be playing a bounce instead. We might just play a bounce instead because if we're expecting DXY, um, if we're expecting DXY weakness, we could be playing a bounce from here, first support, the second support instead. Yeah, for the week, we could be seeing a bounce up to here. The bounce is a little bit far, I agree, but yeah, but we could be seeing a bounce up to this level, okay, for pound dollar. Just take note this week. Dollar franc was the one instrument that didn't work out very nicely. We were hoping to see a reversal on dollar franc. It didn't work out, right? So it's one of the few instruments that didn't work out as nicely. But it is now on resistance. Okay, it's on a nice little pullback resistance over here, which also happens to be, if I'm not wrong, it's probably a 50% Fibonacci retracement. Yep, just about a 50% Fibonacci retracement over here. Okay, and a probably 38% retracement from 23%. Is it 38%? 38% is slightly higher, but it's a fair bit of resistance over there. I'm wondering, could it be the 23% of this? Nope, it can't be. Okay, and a nice 100% Fibonacci projection from here up to here. 78.6 projection. Yes, there we go. Nice bit of resistance over there. So we could be seeing a reversal from there. I think in terms of descending resistance line, right, we can see that price is seeing a nice little bit of descending resistance, and price could also be seeing a bit of a bearish channel, right? So you got a bearish channel over here, right? You got first resistance right at this level, nice overlap. I might just take this trade myself. I might just take this trade myself. Quite a nice level. If you're expecting DXY weakness, is definitely playing out very nicely on dollar franc, which means dollar franc should drop too, and we should see a drop all the way down to the first support level over here, right? The first support level over here. In terms of the stop loss distance, right? In terms of the stop loss distance, if you want to play it safe, let me just see. I got 100% over there. 61 over there. So technically, if your stop loss distance, right, you could put it up here, right? I mean, this would be a second resistance. This would be a second resistance over here, but you want to play a little bit safer, you probably put it up here, right? It's a second resistance. Give your trade that little bit of breathing space to play the drop down, right? Can see price is also just about testing the Ichimoku cloud, so it's a very, very nice little bit of resistance over here. I quite like this setup. I really, really like this setup. This would be one of my setup for the week. This would be one of my setups for the week to play the drop on dollar franc, because we are quite nicely seeing the bounce on euro dollar, right? The drop on dollar index, right, and the bounce on pound dollar, right? So actually, euro dollar might bounce a little bit faster, a little bit quicker than expected, right? I might just highlight this as an intermediate support level, and highlight this area over here. Sorry, this as an intermediate support level, and highlight this area over here, right? We could be seeing a nice little bounce from here instead. So we might not even wait for price to come down to here. We might see the bounce from here for euro dollar pretty soon. Okay. Dollar yen, if you remember, we are forecasting a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of Elliott wave structure, right? And it is working out quite nicely, right? The wave 5 target. So I'm just going to share with you guys, right? How did I get the target there, right? So we've been calling dollar yen correctly for a long time. There are two ways to determine a wave 5 target, right? One is that you go 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here. So if this is wave 5, right, there are two ways to determine where this wave 5 is going to end. Okay, where it's going to end, right? So the first way is to take the distance of wave 1, as you can see, Fibonacci projection, and you project it into the future to end at wave 4. So you then notice that you got a 100% Fibonacci projection, meaning that the distance of wave 1 will be the same as the distance of wave 5. That's the first target. Okay, the other one is to start from here, start off with wave 1, go all the way to wave 3, come down to wave 4, and you use the 61.8 projection. And it also lines up very nicely over here. So I'm going to put this level as my take profit level, first resistance, right? So that's how I determine it. Price is making a very nice pullback to this overlap support that we see over here, Very nice overlap support. So I would be playing the nice little bounce from here, right? I'll be playing the nice little bounce all the way up to here. Okay, nice little bounce all the way up to here before a quick reversal. And if price does break this level, it could probably go all the way down to here as a second support. Okay, this level, historically very important level. So yeah, just take note that if the price does break this first support, we could see it drop all the way down. Okay, just a little bit wary that price might not come all the way up to here, because it might have completed 61.8. Yep, it might have completed is wave 5 target already, right? That's just one risk. So if it breaks the first support and we see dollar weakness, right, we could see it drop all the way down to the second support. So you just need to take note of this risk level. Okay, guys. Now, dollar cat, I think not much changes on dollar cat last week. A little bit hard for us to call any move on dollar cat last week, I think. Let me just see. Yeah, price kind of seems to be in the middle of nowhere. Um, we got first resistance up here. We got first support down here. So price is really in the middle of nowhere for dollar cat. Hard to really pick out a level. Right? Hard to really pick out a level if you ask me. It's this takes a little bit of training for your eyes to see. Yeah, but this could be a little bit of a support level on dollar cat. Look at the way price bounces from here, reacts, right? Kind of bounce and bounce, reacts from here, reacts from here. So yeah, it's fair bit of reaction from here, right? But this to me is more like an intermediate support level. All right, this to me is more like an intermediate support level for price to continue rising up to first resistance, right? So the move is not as clear, right? The move is not as clear on dollar cat. If you're asking me what I think the key level is on dollar cat, yeah, it's not as clear. It's really not as clear. Okay, so we got a second support over here. All right, Aussie dollar last week we were forecasting break of the downside confirmation for price to come all the way down to here. Price has reached its profit target. So for those of you guys who had taken the trade, congratulations. It made a good amount of money. Okay. And now what can we expect this week? What can we expect this week? Okay. Right. Very happy with the trade. Very happy with the trade. Yeah, you guys should have got in on this, right? Very nice setup. Okay. Now the problem is that the problem is that there is almost no levels between the key resistance here and the key support here. If you look at it, right, where are my support levels? There are no support levels at all. So it's a little bit hard for us to forecast a any drop per se. Yeah, it's a bit hard to forecast any level. Previously, we did highlight as an intermediate support level over here. Um, Not all that great. I believe we call it intermediate support. Was it because of the 78.6 projection retracement? Yeah, this is 78.6 retracement, right? So this is more like an intermediate support level for us. If it breaks this level, it can then trigger a further move down. But it's a little bit hard for us to call a move. And my mantra, right, guys, my mantra is that there are a lot of trading instruments for you to trade, right? Look at all this, right? There's so many different instruments for you to trade. You don't need to force yourself to take a trade on a non-optimal instrument. Okay, let me repeat that again. You don't need to force yourself to take a trade um, if the setup is not very good. Okay, in this case, if you ask me which one is nicer, dollar franc, where there's a channel, there's a Fibonacci retracement, there's a overlap resistance, there is a bearish Ichimoku cloud, all of it lining up over here, or Aussie dollar, right? Which is in the middle of nowhere. Which instrument is nicer to trade? I would say dollar franc, right? And you should my approach is that if I'm more confident on the instrument, right, have a higher risk allocation for it. But if there is no nice setup, you don't need to force yourself to take a trade on Aussie dollar. No one is saying, hey, yo, take a trade on Aussie dollar. That's the only way to make money. That's not true, right? If you find an instrument that it doesn't have a nice setup, move on to the next one. All right, guys. We look at Kiwi dollar. Kiwi dollar wasn't as clear as Aussie dollar last week, right? So what can we expect from Kiwi dollar this week? Got probably a nice of a bearish breakout over here, which will kind of form our first resistance, right? In terms of Fibonacci retracements, not many levels. Probably got a 61.8 retracement that price is testing over here, right? Price is testing the 61.8 retracement, which is going to form my intermediate support. If it breaks the 61.8 retracement, we have a decent chance that it might drop to 78, which is in line with this nice little bit of an overlap support down here. Okay, overlap support down here. So this to me is more like my downside confirmation. If price if price breaks this level, we should be able to see a nice little bit of a drop down to the first support. But this is more like a downside confirmation level. Okay? Yeah, just take note of this. On Kiwi dollar. So Kiwi dollar and Aussie dollar are both on the intermediate support. If they're both broken, we should be able to see it drop further to the next key level. Right? Faisal, nice for you to tune in. Nice to see you. Right? For WTI, we were calling a reversal last week. Price has reversed nicely. Oil, we'll continue to see the reversal in oil below our first resistance towards our first support. Not much change over here. Okay, very nice overlap. Price continues to drop very nicely, and you go down to the smaller time frame, right? You will notice that price has more or less kind of broken this nice little trend line, right? As you see over here, broken this trend line, so it will then trigger a bearish move to the downside. Okay, that is why on the higher time frame we can see that it's reversing, and on smaller time frame is broken the trend line, so it lines up pretty nicely that we should see a drop on WTI, right? For those of you guys who trade gold, last week we called for the reversal on gold down to the first support level. It has since reached its target. So if you've taken that trade, congratulations, you've made good money, right? But what are we going to expect this week? What are we going to expect this week on gold? Hmm. Reaching a nice 61.8 retracement. Yep. No worries. I welcome everyone who comes and learn from me on technical analysis. Right. Depending where you're tuning in from, it's either really a really nice sweet spot about 8 p.m., 9 p.m. for you, for those of you guys who are in GMT, like UK time, or if you're in Asia, it's 4:44 a.m. in Singapore, at least, right? Yeah, so depending on where you're tuning in from, all right. Very nice first support level over here. I like this 61.8 projection that lines up very nicely. So there's a nice bit of chance that we might see a little bounce from here, right? Nice bit of chance that we might see a nice little bounce from here, right? In terms of Fibonacci retracement, a bit hard to say. 78.6 is slightly lower, right? The view on gold is not as straightforward, if you ask me. But if it breaks that, I do see a very nice I do see a very nice second support down here, right? This would be a very nice second support. Resistance would probably I'll probably putting my resistance more at, you can put it over here. You can even drag it all the way back to here, right? But personally for me, I think this is enough to emphasize that we got a nice bit of resistance over here. Now, a little bit tricky for gold. Hmm. I mean, if you're expecting DXY to technically drop, then gold should technically on some level bounce. So we could see a bounce from here. Yeah, we could see a short-term bounce from here. To be safe, I would probably consider this as the first intermediate resistance that we can look at. Yeah, we could see a nice little bounce on gold, right? Maybe just to reach the 1935 level over here, right? I'm not so confident that it's going to break this level, but if it does break this level, right, we could see drop the second support, but this week, hopefully a little bounce from here, okay? So DJ30, last week we forecasted for a drop to the key support. Price has reached its target. So if you've taken this trade, congratulations, guys. Good money again. Last week, a really, really good week, making a lot of money, right? This week, what can we expect? Nice little bit of ascending support over here for price. Nice little bit of overlap support over here. Yeah, it's a nice little bit of overlap support, as you can see over here. So we should be able to see a nice first support, a nice bounce from here. I really like the levels. I think price is on a about 61.8 retracement. Price is currently testing a key 61.8 retracement. It is also probably 38% retracement from here. Yeah, 38% retracement from here, right? So a lot of Fibonacci levels lining up very nicely. Not sure about the Ichimoku cloud over here. Yep, price just about testing the Ichimoku cloud support too, right? So very nice reasons why we might see a bounce from here instead, right? So if you're taking a trade, I would consider this as one of the key levels to take to play the bounce up to our first resistance over here, okay? Um, in terms of the stop loss distance, right? A little bit tricky. You could consider this 78% Fibonacci retracement. So we could place a stop loss probably about over here as a potential stop loss level. Okay, as a potential stop loss level if you're playing this trade. Okay, very, very nice overlap support, very nice ascending support, very nice Ichimoku cloud. As you can see, right, a lot of nice Fibonacci levels lining up over here, right? And probably even 100% Fibonacci projection that lines up there, is it? Or 78? Yeah, we've got 78% Fibonacci projection lines up here. So a lot of levels lining up here, suggesting that we should ideally be seeing the bounce. Okay. This one didn't work out very nicely. We were hoping for the DEX to bounce. Didn't really bounce on DEX. A little bit hard to understand what might happen for DEX, right? The levels are not as clear. The levels are not as clear for DEX. Very hard for me to call. It's not as clear as what we're expecting on the Dow Jones, right? So DEX is a little bit hard to make the call here. Mhm. Yeah, intermediate support over here, dotted. So, but for those of you guys who are trading this, right, take note that this would probably be the level. If price breaks from here, we should see it drop quite nicely. Okay. Take note for any of you guys who are trading, trading DEX. Okay. S&P 500, we called the reversal for price to drop from downside confirmation, as you can see over here, down to first support. It has reached its target. So for those of you guys who are taking the trade, congratulations. You have made a good amount of money too. Okay. What we do expect for US 500, the S&P 500, is that Mm, let's see. Price is testing a nice 38% Fibonacci level down here, in line with a nice little bit of support that we're seeing, right? I would highlight this as the key support level, okay? So we should ideally be able to see a bounce from here. If you're expecting a bounce on Dow Jones, right, we should ideally be based on correlation, we should be able to see the same bounce on US 500. Okay, that's usually how the things go, right? Stop loss, right? You can put it over here as a key stop loss level. Okay, so this would be our second support as a potential stop loss level for you to play a bounce from, right? This down here should be a 100 or 78 yep, 78% projection, as you can see, right about over here. So I would expect price to kind of just bounce above the first support to reach the first resistance quite nicely. All right. These are our key levels to watch out for the week. All right. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Right. I hope you found today's session useful. We covered a lot of the majors, what to expect for the week already. Right. My key calls that I would say the key setups for the week: S&P 500, right? Dow Jones 30, DG 30, definitely a very nice bounce from here. I would say dollar franc, very nice reversal, one of my key setups of the week. Reversal from here, first resistance down to first support, right? Euro dollar, a bit euro dollar is not as nice as the rest, right? But I would say that dollar franc would be one of the key calls for the week for the reversal. Okay? Thank you, Yamilu. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's session. I hope you found it useful, right? I hope we meet again next session and it'll be me telling you guys that, hey, we made a lot of money. Okay, that's what I hope. All right, guys. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, right? Once again, I'm going to share a quick disclaimer. If you remember, guys, that everything in this webinar is educational nature, so nothing should be construed as investment or trading advice. Do your own due diligence before you guys trade. And thank you from IC Markets, right? Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate you hanging around with me, right? And yeah, I hope you make good money this week. All right. Nice to see you guys again. Nice to see you guys again. Okay. Um, dollar franc, I guess. Yeah, this would be the view on dollar franc. Tijani, for you to take a look at. We're looking for a reversal because we got a nice bearish channel. We got a nice pullback to this key resistance level. We got a nice Ichimoku cloud just about over here, forming a nice little cloud with a lot of nice Fibonacci retracements, all lining up to suggest that we could see a drop on dollar franc. Okay. That's it for me. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe, trade safe, and I'll catch you guys next week. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.